Hi everyone, welcome. Out here on the bench you can see I've got my original red wigglers all set to go for their 5th feeding. So they've been getting checked in on 10, 11 day intervals. I believe the first two check-ins were on days 10 and day 20. And then there was the day 31 check-in, and today is day 42 in these red wiggler worm bins. Check out this assortment of yummy foods we got for them. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff in here. I probably couldn't even list everything in here. There was a very large stem of a head of cauliflower, which I sliced in half so that one piece could go to one bin and the other piece could go to the other bin. And as far as the rest of it goes, it's just luck of the draw as far as divvying it up to both systems. Now, let's see. Usually I got my glove all set to go by now. Now we can begin. So, just for those of you who don't know about my little saga with the so-called original red wiggler worms that live here, I've gotten worms from here and there from various places. Cocoons from the crazy worm lady, canine, northeast worms. I've gotten worms from my compost barrel too, you know, but there was a couple batches of red wiggler worm bins going. In fact, at one point all my red wiggler worm bins died out, and to me that seemed like the only final throwback to the original batch of worms that I started out with a few years prior, and then we were able to nurse the systems back. Luckily, cocoons were left behind by the crashed and burned systems, and a little bit of rehab, we were able to get those to revive the population and bring them back. So once again, I've got multiple systems here which can be tracked back to the original worms that I started with, but all the other ones I consider as systems that I got from other sources. Alright, so over here in bin 2 I've gotten to a second pumpkin stem. Over in bin number 1 I found a pumpkin stem, and then I saw some banana peel. That banana peel was not part of the last feeding, but it was here as leftovers last time we checked in 11 days ago. I think it was just from the previous feeding, so you know, more than 3 weeks later we're still seeing leftovers of the banana peel, but that's perfectly normal. This to me looks like possibly potato peels, where the majority of the yummy potato that was still adhering to it got nibbled away, but the skins remain in large part, but that'll all get worked down as well. The moisture level down here feels really good in the feeding zone too. And this is another old item. Probably came with the worms from their previous home, considering how young these systems still are at 6 weeks of age, 42 weeks of age. This is half of a mango seed husk. And there's probably other things to be found down here in this feeding zone in bin number 2, but let's get over to bin number 1 and similarly excavate a little space into which we can place today's feeding. I really like the moisture in here. One thing we did last time was we encountered a bunch of top dressing leafy matter. Man, this stuff's really dry over here. And we came out with the spray bottle and we doused it all as we blended it into the bedding all over the place. But then we just covered up and left the systems, so there was no leafy matter left for today's check-in to be greeted by and to be able to maybe blend in. But for today's check-in, I've got a nice fresh reloaded box of leaves, so we'll be sure to apply a nice top dressing at the end of today's check-in. So here too, nice bit of moisture, perhaps not as damp as it seemed over in bin number 2. And a little bit of dryness I'm seeing here and there on the surface is a little bit concerning too. I guess I've got to be more careful, you know, replacing our plastic cover to make sure it's on nice to protect from drying. But now I'm definitely into portions of the feeding zone where there's a high degree of moisture, and that's where all the worms are kind of huddled together, enjoying that cozy spot to be. But I'd really like for the entire system to be really cozy. You know, once we drop in today's food, we'll venture back out into the outer edges of the systems, and then we'll use the covering up of the feeding as our excuse to till up a little bit and blend stuff together. At that point, that dry stuff will just get blended in down into the moist stuff, and we'll also try to be a little bit more careful covering up when we're done. So, wow, this stuff's got some good weight to it. So each piece gets a half of that stump, and then this looks like that yellow type carrot, parsnips maybe, with which you make delicious soups. There's I think that's Savoy cabbage with that funny appearance to it. Not like typical cabbage that has more smooth kind of leaves. I think that's what we're seeing here. And whatever else I see. Other things that were probably part of a soup, celery. This stuff is all coming out of an assortment that I bought home from my mom's house the other day. And come to think of it, I think I remember eating some of that yummy soup just the other day. All right, well, okay. Let's see what we can do about, I don't know, some of these leaves in here, they're huge. Figured if I can maybe grab a couple here and there when they're really being obnoxiously, you know, sticking out in places, maybe we can get those really obnoxious ones down into the feeding zones. All right, leftovers, we've got leftover this, that, and the other thing, but nothing very notable. And we got ourselves a feeding zone that's pretty up there as far as to the upper rim. But I think once we fluff everything up as we bring in material from the outer edges to cover up the feeding zone, we'll be I think we'll be back to level, and I think the food will definitely be submerged at that point. So let's blend in and see if we can figure out if there's any need to bring in additional moisture. I mean, a little bit of surface material that's got dampness to it. You know, at first glance it seems like, oh my goodness, such dryness, you know, like right here was where it was, and it does even extend down a little bit. Well, once you get down to the bottom, there's a good bit of moisture down there already. Perhaps just here, since it's within easy reach, we can certainly bring in the spray bottle for a little section that seems like it could use a little special attention, but I don't know if anything else is going to require that. Even here, it was a little bit dry on the surface, but right below the surface, it was already quite damp. Half of a mango seed. And I guess it's probably the other half of this one. Yeah, I'm going to put the wands back, and we're going to assume that we're okay from a moisture perspective, and we don't need to add any more moisture anywhere else. And that's pretty much our feeding over in bin number 1. Let's see if we can verify that we like the moisture here in bin number 2 as well. I think we will. I hope we will. Yeah, I think it's nice. Out here, yeah, probably just had something to do with how I replaced the plastic coverings. Maybe I just didn't really cover up adequately, and as a result we ended up with a little dry spot there. Certainly nothing to write home about. Very easily remedied. We gave it a little squirt of water out of the spray bottle just to compensate. But you know what? Just for fun at this point, why not? Systems 6 weeks old deserve to have a nice high degree of moisture so that they could do a lovely job on working down the materials that we give them to break down. And I think the worms really like it. Not to mention you end up with nice chubby worms when you're running nice damp systems. And bonus little collateral extra thing was nice clean gloves at the end. And I don't know what we did to deserve 2 feeding zone indicators over here, but we must have been good worm parents for that. And it's nice to see nice moisture recirculating over here, but look how dry the paper is on that side. Definitely had to be the manner in which I put the plastic covers on. We'll just be a little bit more careful this go around, and don't have anything like this propping up the plastic to allow for airflow beneath it. Perhaps that was the reason. Maybe we had a little leaf stem like this, creating a little bit of a thing for the plastic to rest on and allow air to come and go beneath it. This time, hopefully we've done a better job. I don't think we really slowed much down there. A little bit of dry stuff. Worms just avoid it because they don't want to be in dry material. Now all that stuff a few days later is back in service and fair game for worm activity. All right, everyone, that's it for the check-in. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. That's always really appreciated. And if you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. That's very much appreciated as well. All right, everyone, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye now. I know. I don't do it for dramatic effect. Totally honest. Mistake. And for that reason, we'll be extra generous. How's that? All right. I think they're going to enjoy that. And get rid of that stick. Don't let this be a distraction so that the coverings don't go on properly. And a little bit for you, bin number 2. That was close. Whew. Nice recovery, if you ask me. All right, everyone. Thanks again for watching. Take care. Bye now.